How's it going, everyone? I am Jeremy Alexander, and I am extremely excited to bring you this video tutorial. We're going to be making a 360-degree bullet hell bullet. Now, this is really cool because I've always wanted to know how to do this, and when I figured it out, it was kind of like amazing because it opens the door for so many things, and it's so simple and I'm so silly. I should have figured this out sooner, but it is so easy. You're going to love it. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to make a new sprite here. And I'm just going to import from the frames, from files. I'm going to actually grab my bullet explosion frame from my running gun. So this is actually part of an explosion effect when the bullet collides with the tile map. I'm just going to grab this single frame here. And there we go. So now I have my circular bullet for a bullet hell game. I'm going to put this over to the side, and I'm going to add two behaviors to it. I'm going to add a destroy outside layout, and I'm going to add the bullet behavior layouts. Let's go down here. You can actually see that I have a plugin that I've paid for to do this exact same effect, and it has a bunch of other different effects, but I prefer not using plugins in all of my videos and all of my games, so I'm probably not going to end up using it. So there we go. We're going to add the bullet behavior to this. We're going to turn the speed off, we're going to turn the angle off, and everything else can be at 0 because we want to have control over this. So let's call this our object bullet. And what we're going to do is we're going to have the mouse, wherever we click, that's where it's going to spawn this 360 bullet hell bullet effect. It's going to be really cool. So what we want to do is we want to go to mouse on any click, and let's hit B to create a blank sub event underneath. And what we want to do is system repeat. Now here's where we can actually repeat it however many bullets we want. If we're doing a simple, I guess if we're doing an explosion. So what I was originally using this effect for and what I came up with was when the bullet collides with the tile map, I want it to explode 360 degrees and look really cool. And it'll play the animation and it'll look really cool, but I don't want it to repeat that many times. In fact, I probably only want it to repeat, 4 to 12 times. That's all I need for a particle effect like that. For a bullet hell, you're probably going to want anywhere between, 1 or, well, more than 1. So let's say 8 and 64. You're going to want between somewhere around that. Anywhere above that, it's probably going to be a little too intensive, especially for mobile. So I'm warning you now that could happen. So you're going to want to cap it off at 64. We'll actually go over that in a second. Let's leave it at 12 for right now. So we're going to repeat this 12 times. Now here's the logic. When we repeat 12 times, we're going to add the action to our system to create the object, create the bullet object on layer 0 because I haven't named anything yet, at mouse.x and mouse.y. Okay, cool. So now it's creating our object underneath our mouse position, but we need to actually set the bullet properties like we have here. We turned them all off. Well, let's actually set them. So let's add the action to our bullet. And you can see here that you have a bunch of different properties to mess around with. We could set the gravity, the acceleration, the angle of motion, and the speed. Right now, we're going to set the speed and the angle of motion. First thing is speed. Let's set the speed to 10. We're going to make this really slow at first, just so I can illustrate to you how many options you have with this effect. Then what we're going to do is we're going to set the angle of motion. So this is where the effect comes into play. This is how we do the 360 degrees. And this is actually where it gets a little bit more complicated, but in reality, this is very easy to understand. We're going to go into our system in our objects with expressions window. If not, you can just type this in. I'm going to search for the loop index. And when I find it, here you go. The loop index retrieves the index of a currently running loop, which means it's going to retrieve the number 12 because that's how many times we're running this loop. So we're going to do 12, and then we're going to multiply by 360 divided by 12. If we go any higher, it's going to cut this in half. So unless we increase how many times we're repeating it by, the maximum amount that we should divide by is 12. You might want to cut it in half to create some weird effect, but I'm telling you now, I've kind of messed around with it. It kind of looks weird, so you're just going to have to mess around and see how it looks for yourself. But there you go. It was all 3 actions creates our bullet hell bullet. So let's hit play, and let's click. And because it's running so slow, we are creating the effect. So let's actually go back. Let's bump this up from 10. Let's go to 50. And let's see how 50 looks. Not bad. It's actually pretty slow still, but you can see the effect that we're trying to get here, and you can see how it can be an explosion. It can be for a bullet hell game. There's a lot of uses that we can do. Let's bump this up to 150 and let's see how this works. Bam, 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 bam. Cool. How cool is that? So you can kind of really start to mess around with this, and it works perfectly. Since we're destroying outside layout, we don't have to worry about that many objects. But again, just a fair warning, you don't want to have too many of these objects created at the same time like I just clicked rapidly. So just kind of keep that in mind. With that said, let's actually bump this up. Let's put this to 48, and let's actually leave it at divided by 12, and let's click. So you can see here that it's probably only 12 bullets from what I'm quickly looking at here. And that's not how many we're creating. We're creating 48. So let's actually divide it by 48. And let's see what's happening here. There you go. Now we have our ring of 48 bullets being created, which is really cool because you can create really cool effects with this. So you just want to keep it in mind and mess around with the logic and see if you can create something cool. And really, this is all on you at this point. If you want it to be a cool effect, by all means, then just put it to something slow. If you want it to be a bullet hell, put it between 12 and 48. If you go any higher, I think you'll run into some issues. But that's how you do it. It was literally just one line of code. So let's put this down to 12. Or actually, you know what? So I have it repeating 12 times, but I'm dividing by 48. Actually, no. Let's put this to 14. So I'm dividing by more than however many objects I have. And you can see that it's going to kind of cut it off there. If I divide by 2, let's see what happens. You can see that it's piling all the objects up into 2 different directions, which is really cool, and it makes a lot of sense. And if I go 4, it'll probably give me all main directions here. There you go. So it's really cool to use 360 degrees and get that full range of motion from this line of code. I'm going to show you one other thing. Let's go into this bullet object here, and let's actually import frames from files. Let me get the rest of my bullet explosion frames. And so now if we zoom in here, you can see that my bullet actually explodes. And let's add a frame here so it's just blank at the end. So now it's going to go like this. To have it do this properly, I need to actually go into here, and I need to set the loop to be yes, because otherwise it's not even going to play the animation. So when it loops, you can kind of see, let me slow it down a little bit. Let's slow the bullet speed down to 50, and let's hit play. And you can see here, the animation plays, it goes to frame 0, just like that. Now if I said frame 0, I meant if it goes to the blank frame. If I got rid of the blank frame, then it'll probably just repeat itself, which is pretty cool. You can also mess around with the animation properties itself. So if the animation is not playing fast enough, you can bump it up. Let's bump this up to 15 and see how that looks. And then let's bump up our speed back to 150. Actually, you know what? Let's go to like 100. And let's hit play. And when I click here, there you go. You can kind of see it flashing a little bit more, which is still a pretty cool effect. And it's actually an even cooler explosion effect, especially when you pile it in to the action platformer games that I like to make when it's a really fast-paced shooter game and you see this explosion and it's 360 degrees. It's nuts, and it's really cool, and it's really fun. And like everything else, it was made easy. So I really do hope that this has given you a little bit of a better idea on how to do this. I'm going to get rid of these again. I'm going to go back to making just our bullets, so I can probably turn this off. This probably doesn't even have any effect since it's only one frame at this point. And I'm going to mess around with this. I'm going to put this to divide by 8 instead of 12, and I'll only repeat it 8 times. And let's hit play. And mess around and see what you come up with. I would love to see what you come up with if you're going to implement this into your game. I think that a lot of people will find that this is a really cool effect, and they've probably been looking for a way to do this effect in a very efficient manner. So look at this. I mean, just kind of see, you can see that it's getting a little sluggish. If I debug this real fast, and I pop out the debug so it can actually run independently, so we can see here I'm running at 60 frames a second with no objects on the screen. If I click, it has 8. If I click a whole bunch, we're already at 80. And truth be told, when you're running on desktop, it'll handle up to about 1,000 objects. When you go over 1,000 objects, you're going to have to do more optimization for it. But really, you should have no problem creating a bullet hell game on desktop. When it comes to mobile, I am not the person to ask, but heed my warning. probably don't want to make that many objects with this, even if you do destroy outside the layout. You definitely want to keep it to a lower number, which should be absolutely fine. Fair warning there, but it should be fine if we did, 48 again, or even if we do 64. Let's try 64. Create an amazing amount of bullets. And we divide by 64. And let's hit play. And you know what? Let's hit debug so we can actually see what the debug is doing. Pop that out. And I'm imagining, yeah, so you can see I am almost at 1,000 objects, which means this is about to get really slow, but it does create a cool effect. So at the same time, doing this once isn't going to hurt your game at all. If you do it once and then it destroys all those objects, it might be kind of cool, but it also might be kind of weird. I wonder what happens if I bump up the speed to like 450. This I've never tried, so this is just completely, yeah, kind of cool actually. If I put this down to 12 and I put this back down to 12 as well, it's kind of a cooler, it's really fast, but it's really, really impossible to react to that. If we put the speed down to maybe like 250, we might actually have, a more intensely paced bullet hell game. So now I really need to dodge these bullets in between the angles that it's setting it at. So that is how we can make a bullet hell, bullet, 360 motion, whatever you want to call it. We started off with it at 10 and we kind of worked our way up. And even that effect is still really, really cool to me. I don't know why. I just really, really like it. So I really do hope that you got a lot from this tutorial. There you go. That's actually a really nice, I like this effect because it's a little too slow. Let's try 75. But the slower it is, it kind of shows that something's happening. But I don't know. It gives you room to dodge this a little bit more than having it be really, really, really fast paced. Even though these are the kind of games that you want to make. You want to make a fast-paced game because those are the kind of games that are really fun. If it's like really slow, it's going to be really boring when it comes to bullet hell games. They're called bullet hell. So again, I do really hope that you've learned something from this tutorial. I hope that you enjoyed this week of tutorials. My current schedule for what I'm trying to do is make a video Monday through Friday, at least once. So I'll have the video for the next morning, usually at 8 in the morning. So that is my schedule. I hope that I can stick to it. I'm going to try my best to come up with new and original tutorials and also throw in some devlogs. I am working on a game. I'm working on another big project for next week. I'm working on my mega course and I'm working on my company website, which I'll get into in the next few months. So we have a lot of things going on this channel. If you could leave a thumbs up, that would be really, really awesome. If you could share this video, that'd be great. If you like this video and you actually make something with this, then please send it to me on Twitter at Jerementor. That'd be really, really cool to see. And also follow me on Twitter just to check out. I'm going to be posting GIFs of my game and other stuff that I'll be working on over the weekend. And if you have any questions, if you have any tutorial ideas that you want me to make, then please leave a comment below. Thank you so much for watching this video. I really do hope you learned a lot. Again, I'm Jeremy Alexander, and I'll see you next time.